what if the Earth was a cube? So I was covering where you could live on the Earth cube planet. So basically, what you need is obviously land and atmosphere. Is really the basics that I'm starting with. But just to set the stage one more time, we have our cube, and in the center of each cube, there is an ocean, which is 1,300 miles in diameter. And then there is a sphere on top of that, a dome of atmosphere, which is going to be 3,400 miles in diameter. So that gives us basically a band of 1,000 miles around the ocean that has both land and atmosphere. Unfortunately, our atmosphere isn't just a wonderful safe bubble everywhere that it touches. As Chris was mentioning, because of this bowl effect that gravity has on this cube shape, the atmosphere will be 3.5. The air pressure will be 3.5 times more than that of regular Earth. So my first question is can we handle that? And so the average human can withstand up to 70 atmospheres of pressure at one time.
Oh, wow.
Wait, that's
a lot.
Higher than I expected.
Which is great.
Well, no, yeah, that's good news.
But not long term.
Oh, okay.
But not long term.
That makes more sense.
So the problem doesn't actually, it's not that much pressure. Like, we're not going to get crushed into a tiny ball. The problem lies in our breathing. So our lungs rely on the pressure difference between the lungs themselves and the air in order to transfer oxygen. And the ability of them to do that is based on the air pressure. And at any air pressures higher than 2.5, that process stops functioning, sorry. And on the reverse, also anything less than half an atmosphere of pressure is no good. So we can only survive between 0.5 and 2.5 atmospheres long term. The atmospheric pressure is based on basically how much the atmospheric pressure is equivalent to how much weight of air is above you. So if you just take a column of where you're standing and just shoot it all the way up to space and weighed all the air that was on top of you, that will give you your atmospheric pressure. So in order to reduce the amount of weight, we have to start going up. And because of the weird way that gravity works, gravity's still working as a circle, more or less, on our cube. So if we start going towards the outside of our cube, we are actually have less air on top of us. So doing all sorts of crazy math. On cube Earth, you could survive at quote-unquote elevations between 3 and 12% of the height of the atmosphere, assuming that the concentration is about the same amount on Earth. I actually found it interesting that 80% of the mass of our atmosphere is in the bottom, 10% of the height. So, the troposphere where we live and breathe is, most of the mass, and then, above that, there's basically nothing.
Huh. Yeah, I think I learned that in one of our previous questions.
So, I got to do some more math. I got to break out the old trigonometry. And with our weird bowl gravity, we basically get a ring that is between 28 and 121 miles from the edge of the ocean. So basically, there's 700. The inner diameter 700 miles, and then the outer one 100 more than that. So we basically just have a 100-mile band in which we can live.
That's not too bad.
It's a lot smaller than what we got now. I'll say that.
Given the circumstances, it's not too bad.
That is true. The fact that there is any livable, or theoretically kind of livable, space.
And what's nice too, because this is where the atmospheric pressure is normalized, it's actually, the temperatures should be reasonable.
Should be normal. It should be what our equator temperature is now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what's nice is actually the ocean will be able to absorb a lot of that extra heat, so I don't think too much will transfer away from it. Some slight annoyances. Going back to gravity, you will feel like you are about a 9 to 10 degree angle at all times living in this ring, which I guess we can
you can build platforms and stuff.
Yeah, you build platforms and stuff to make it like that. But
congratulations, you live in the Leaning Tower of Pisa now.
And I think you as far as resources go, you can still go to the ocean. 3.5 atmospheres won't kill you. You can have a respirator. And, you know, I guess you could kind of just like go scuba-ing to the beach like before you even hit the water. So you kind of just scuba gear up and you can go. You're only 30 miles away.
I mean, we do need a water source.
Right.
I mean, the ocean usually isn't a water source, but
I mean, we should still get weather from the ocean.
yeah, that's true. It'll still
in
rain.
our band.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's anything that actually just straight disqualifies us from being able to live in this nice, safe band on
Except
each
for,
of the 4 phases.
Right.
Overpopulation.
Yeah, well, overpopulation is a self-solving problem.
Conveniently enough.
Cruelly enough, it is. But one other cool thing that is kind of an aside to all this, talking about going to the ocean, because we're basically in a bowl. And I can't stress this enough how weird this is. You are on a flat surface, but you are in a bowl.
Right.
Like, it is better to think of everything as a bowl that's just
But not
happens to look flat.
Yeah.
It's going to be
It looks
super
flat.
trippy.
Yeah.
And because the ocean is pooled all in the center of this bowl, it's actually a lot deeper than our regular ocean that is spread very thinly across our whole sphere. Look at it this way. The current ocean depth is about 2 miles. The sphere cube ocean is 74 miles deep. So it is over 35 times deeper than our ocean. And that means the pressure at the bottom is really, really a lot. Specifically, it's equal to the weight of 74 miles of water that
Right.
sits on top of it.
Conveniently enough.
So it brings it up to 23 million pounds per square foot. So my question was, what happens to water at this pressure? So I was thinking this is like kind of like water. I didn't think like crushed, but it actually turns it into ice, but not just regular ice. Did you guys know there are 18 types of ice?
I knew there were multiple types of ice. I don't know if I knew the exact number.
Cherry flavor, green apple, blue raspberry.
So, like, ice forms, the water gets cold, and then, the molecules rearrange and make that, like, pattern that ice is.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't make that pattern. So, because it's being forced together by pressure, it makes an entirely different pattern called type 6 ice, which just sounds super cool to me.
Right.
Which, according to Wikipedia, is a tetragonal crystalline phase. So you basically turn the bottom of the ocean into crystal, which I just think is super duper cool.
It's pretty awesome.
Is this crystal valuable enough to like mine?
Well, let me tell you what is not going to survive 74 miles of ocean. A submarine.
Also, I'm assuming that if you took it back up out, it would just turn back into
It'd
water.
revert back, yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to
As ice
stay
does.
Down where it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, I wish I could show you this chart. I wish I could show you this chart through the microphone, but like, there's this whole phase diagram where it's just like a bunch of it is like water vapor, and then like a whole another bunch of it is liquid water, and then like the left half is regular ice, and then the top where like the super high pressures are, it just like gets subdivided into a million different types of ice, and I'm like, this is it's just wild to me.
How did we figure this out?
Science has just like made all the different ices. I don't know.
I guess you can just compress things enough, like
Yeah.
you could, because they have a methodology of how to make the ice. Like they show like take water to this temperature and then compress it.
Mm-hmm.
But who the hell knows? But yeah, so you could barely live on the Q planet.
Something I actually just thought about that I literally thought about while you were describing this. So one actually nice thing about Cube Planet, I'm assuming navigation will be much easier because you will always know the direction of the nearest edge.
Oh,
yeah.
That's true. It'll be very obvious.
Yeah, I don't know how you figure out like what direction you are from the center, but assuming you know like which, quadrant of the planet or, the face you're on, you always know which way is which is cool.
I mean, yeah, the sun still rises in the east, so you're gonna be able to tell that
yeah.
way.
So you will always, you don't need a compass anymore.
The oceans will, because the temperature rise at the center of the faces, the oceans will probably boil at the surface.
That's cool.
Ooh.
So boily ocean and crystal ocean at the bottom.
Well, could the ocean absorb enough heat, like transfer enough heat downwards? I guess it doesn't really work that way long term.
That's a pretty deep ocean. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I like so we have a boiling ocean, with like a super high air pressure. Then we have a slight survival band, and then we basically have the spacewalk for a while, and then we just have basically 8 space mountains.
Right.
Disney World, get on that.
Disney World, octagonal space mountain, get on it.